Welcome to the Road to Redemption podcast with your host, Cam Williamson. Each week, Cam sets out to shatter the labels and stigmas associated with mental health awareness by giving life lessons and raw overviews of events happening around the world.
What is going on, guys? Welcome back to this episode of the Road to Redemption podcast. I'm, as always, your grateful host, Cam Williamson. Great to be back with you. Today, I'm talking to my fellas. Ladies, you can listen. I guess this will be like a 48 laws of power kind of thing where I'm giving you the tools that I have as to how to carry yourself as a confident man through life. The reason I almost say the 48 laws of power mockingly is because I think the 48 laws of power does deserve some of the criticism that it gets. And it teaches men to be manipulative, it teaches men to be egotistical, things like that. That's not what we're talking about here. I'm not teaching you how to control anyone. I'm not teaching you how to insert yourself into situations and dictate the outcomes necessarily. What I want to do is I want you to be able to walk in any room that you find yourself in, and if you find yourself as someone like who I previously was, where you won't even put yourself in rooms because you can't stand the thought of how you're being perceived, then this episode is definitely for you. And I'm going to get you out of that because I got myself out of it. I wouldn't be here talking about it if it's not something that I dealt with. So let's just talk about the internal dialogue to start. What happens for people like us when we walk into a room? Well, instantly the idea of being out in public, my hands start to get clammy because here's my problem. I am very self-aware. I'm very self-aware of what's going on inside my body, and I'm pretty self-aware of how I'm projecting myself outwards. Am I standing weird? I'm hyper aware of that. Am I standing in a way that people would be like, why is he standing like that? Since I was a kid, I could feel myself walking down a hallway, completely naturally walking, and if I felt people look at me, I would like feel my hips start to like sway in a weird way, and like my legs would start to feel kind of noodly, and I'm like, what is going on? Why am I all of a sudden like I can't function because I'm worrying about how my walk is being perceived? Let alone when you walk into a room, you walk in kind of like this, arms crossed for people. If you're just listening on the podcast, please check out the full video on YouTube. This is a very physical show. I talk with my hands and shit a lot. So you walk into a room with your arms crossed or your heads down. Obviously, these are immediate signs to people that you're not secure, that you're not confident, but that's not necessarily always the case. One thing that a lot of people don't know about me is most of the time when you see me, my hands are close to what? My belt line. Why is that? One, I'm a veteran. Two, I believe in gun rights. And what's near your belt line? Typically your gun. Well, on top of that, I was a military police officer for a long time. I wore a duty belt for a while. So naturally, when I stand, I'm looking, like you guys can see, I'm tucking my hands into my waistband here, but I'm used to hooking my thumbs over something and resting my elbows in a flared out way because when I had a duty belt on and shit, I've got a gun or whatever I have or a baton or whatever, and I'm walking that way. It just gets comfortable to do, especially if you have a vest on. You'll start to kind of hang it like this. Again, some of these aren't great habits to do, but some of them are just things that you start to do. So now that I'm a civilian and I don't operate in that world anymore, a hoodie pocket is pretty goddamn close. So walking through most places like this is chill to me. So when I'm thinking about myself walking through a grocery store and I'm walking with a woman and her child walking near me, I'm very conscious of how I appear like this. It could be threatening to them. I'm a 6-foot dude, bearded, clearly tattooed and stuff if my hands are exposed and shit. So it's like I try to be very hyper aware that a lot of things that we as men do can be seen as intimidating because of the line of work we've been in, because of the things you've experienced, and it just becomes a natural part of your demeanor when you don't mean to come off in an aggressive manner, right? In the same token, some guys are overly aggressive. Some guys can't have a conversation without it being da, 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 da. That's what we talk more of a type A personality. There's nothing wrong with being that. There are women that need that and they want that. It's just hard to be type A all the time and be healthy. You have to have that aspect of you. One thing that is made much ado of these days that I don't quite understand is the sidewalk rule, or the street walking rule as we call it, where for men that don't know, if you weren't raised by a decent person in your life, if you are walking down an aisle, men, please listen to me. If you are walking down a parking lot aisle, I feel like I shouldn't have to describe this to people, and the cars are coming this way, and the parked cars are on this side, and you are walking with a woman or a child, or really just anyone, your buddy, right? All people matter, and you're the one that feels capable to deal with a quick situation. If cars are passing on this side, you put yourself here, other people on this side towards the other cars. Does that make everything perfect? No. These cars can still back out. Things can still happen. It's just you are putting your mindset in such a way that you are ready to protect these people and yank them one way or the other if need be, right? So that is kind of aggressive. If you are constantly grabbing someone and moving them around and you're literally like handling them like a dog on a leash, whoop, 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 whoop. Is it for their safety? Yes. Does it make you seem very confident? Not really. But it's one of those things where, like we talked about in last episode, when you have like an anxious attachment style and you're like, I need to protect this person, I need to protect this person. That's great. You guys can go out to dinner, my vets, and your wife can sit with her back to the open room. It's going to be all right, more than likely, right? Most places in today's day and age, you can carry constitutionally without a permit. So, like, most of us know how to handle our business out there. It's okay to let people relax. And sometimes that's where confidence in men starts to feel like aggression, and guys go, well, I don't mean to come off as aggressive, or I don't mean to come off as controlling, I don't mean to come off as possessive. I care about you and I love you. And we're not talking about things like what they're allowed to do in their life, things like that. I'm talking about when we walk into a room, there's a place that I would prefer we sit for all of our safety. Vets, law enforcement, first responders, people like this, we deal with these situations more because it's simply we've been exposed to it more. If you're an EMT, right, it might be very odd to your family as to why you don't want to go anywhere near the counter at a Wendy's. Yeah, that's weird, huh? Dad doesn't do well inside of a Wendy's. Why? Well, Dad's had to Narcan 4 people back to life behind that same counter. So he would prefer at this stage in his life, if you guys need to go inside and eat at Wendy's, if Dad puts his back to the counter and we look outside, so at least I can see the nice view of, my home city. These are the type of things that bother people that we don't talk about as men, right? As a man, it should bother you when something is going on with the women in your life. This is where we're talking very kind of old school, traditional, I guess they would even call it conservative these days, types of thinking. It should bother you when the women in your life and children in your life are not being taken care of or being thought of in extra proportions, right? If you're a good man, a confident man in your abilities, you know what you're able to do. You don't walk around making false promises to people. You don't walk around acting tougher than you are, because that's just going to get your ass kicked. That's a promise from someone who trained in MMA and was a unarmed security guard. I was a bouncer for years. I can tell you 10 times out of 10, thinking you are tough in any facet is just a high-speed expressway to getting your ass kicked. There is someone out there who can fuck you up and has no problem doing it. Don't get it twisted on that. Nobody's as tough as they think they are. You need a reality check on that one. Tune into a UFC event every single weekend. You'll watch one of those brothers that you think for sure is about to maul the other one go down in a blaze of fury because that other guy just had a night. So when we're talking confidence, we're not talking ability for violence. As I get older, you should know your ability for violence. So if we're going to talk about that, I guess we'll get it out of the way. You're useless as a man if you don't know how to defend yourself, because if someone can hurt you, then they can then hurt your family, right? Now, that's not saying you could fuck everybody up. Sorry for the language. That's not saying that. But that's saying you don't know any jiu-jitsu. You've never walked into a boxing gym. You've never had to put your hands up and fucking defend yourself. Not pull a gun and shoot someone. That's not being tough either. Carrying a gun doesn't make you tough. Carrying a gun, last case resort, Lord have mercy, did I catch shit for that during the Kyle Rittenhouse trial? My coverage on that. Guns, last resort. But brother, let's fight this shit out. Most times, outside of the World Star video where you hit me with one shot, I go down, crack my head, and I'm dead. That's a worst fucking case scenario. Most of the time, we're going to get a pretty average fight out of this that's not even going to be worth people watching. We're going to go, I'm not in shape for this shit, man, once our adrenaline wears off, and we're going to get away from each other. Whatever issue we're fighting over is not going to be that big of a deal that we need to concern ourselves with walking around with ILS all the time and every time we walk through a store. Sup, dog? Sup, dog? Who are you trying to fool? Who are you playing with? What Andrew Tate fucking bullshit did you buy into that says if you can't kick everyone's ass in the room that you're useless? Guys, confidence is knowing where you stand. You know what? The guy that probably, and I think this is awesome now to watch all the comedians getting into martial arts, thanks Joe Rogan. But like you watch all these little nerdly like comedians, and now you find out they're purple belts in jiu-jitsu, and you're like, oh yeah? You think that guy's not funny? You think his act with his glasses and his Old Navy style is real dorky? Try that shit. Step up there. Try it. And knowing who you are and knowing I'm the funny guy. Don't need to hurt anybody. But in my spare time when I don't feel like being funny, I learned how to fuck people up because I like to be a well-rounded human being. It's important to do. All people who exist on this planet should know self-defense in some facet. You want to talk about my opinions on what's useful and what's not? Well, that would be my personal opinion. I think everyone should be in jiu-jitsu and some sort of striking. Everything else, if you want to toss in judo and you want to learn other arts, go ahead and do those things. I think kickboxing specifically and jiu-jitsu are the two arts. I think every boy should know how to wrestle. That's important. It's very important for a male to be able to maneuver his body in a way that if needed to, he could detain another, if not larger male. That's important for the safety of your family. Why? You don't need and we're getting into some touchy topics here, but you should not expect the women in your life to be able to take on a man of either equal or greater stature to her. Okay? Can we say that? Is that all right? That's not something that we're okay with in our lives. I'm not expecting the women in my life to be Misha Tate or Holly Holm. If they are, and again, I imagine there's still a dynamic in Holly Holm's house, especially if she's actually with John Jones, where I think John Jones is going down them stairs. Why is that? He can, right? He can. Same thing. There's a part of, I think, a good dude where if shit goes down, especially if you've had some of the fun that some of us had, you get a little, say, who's knocking? What's up? I have yet to see a situation where a guy is hopping up and going, honey, what was that? And she's going, Hey, some of y'all got some beasts, guys. I'm not saying you don't. But I'm saying, I'm getting a little off here. Your confidence comes in knowing who the fuck you are. If you're the funny guy, be funny, be able to handle your business. If you're a numbers guy, dude, I envy you so much more than the guy that can kick ass. If you can sit down and keep a budget or do math and figure out angles to build a building, and you're an architect or you're an engineer and you went through school and like you had the patience to sit and be calm, dude, I envy you way more than any tough guy. Anymore. Because it's like the patience that takes to go, I don't need to be all that. I don't invite that type of shit into my life. I don't sit around and fantasize about that stuff. At most, maybe I sit around and watch comic book stuff and I get it, off that way. But dude, I've wasted so much of my life trying to be like this guy. Trying to drink every night because that's what guys do. And trying to have my time where I hang out in bars with my friends because that's what guys do when they're young. And you drink and drive because that's what guys do. And you get locked up because that's boys being boys. And you're like, I never understood when this whole Me Too thing happened because I, as a man, never hung around other men, and I was not raised by men who showed it to ever be okay to touch a woman if she did not want you to talk to her if she did not want you to. So I grew up in a way, and maybe this is a Midwestern way of being, you guys write in and tell me, I grew up in a way where you leave women alone unless they show attention, right? So like my MO at the bar when I was having those days, this was my move, fellas, if you want to call it that. I would walk into the bar, order a Bud Select, hopefully there's a Reds game on or whatever I'm watching, and I sit there. And you know what would happen? Some lady would walk up and say, hi. No pickup line, no any. Hi. Hey, how's it going? Oh, not bad. What's up? Oh, I see you got a computer there. This is a real instance that happened. I see you have a computer. What are you doing? Oh, I'm finishing up some work. Right on. Have a beer. Very little conversation. No one's buying each other drinks. No one's making plans. No one's scooting in. Nothing. Having a conversation. She gets up, walks off. A guy comes in. Still, same demeanor. What's up, man? Sup? Why are we talking to my girl? She sat down and she said hi. Oh, okay. So by the end of the night, that guy, 3 of his friends beat my ass off that bar stool. Said guy sliced me with a beer bottle on my side, and his girlfriend broke up with him and ended up hanging out with me and my friends for the rest of the night. She went home by herself. But again, being the tough guy doesn't get you anywhere. She wasn't attracted to that. She didn't want to see people fight and do whatever. For whatever reason, she did have a curiosity that she made a terrible decision to walk away from her boyfriend and start up this conversation with me when she knew he was some kind of jealous prick. But it's like, these are the two dynamics that you can find yourself in, especially if you operate in dumb positions like bars and clubs and shit like that. That's why I don't do it anymore. It's dumb as shit. There's always a game being played. You get too close to somebody, and now it's a big fucking problem, and you're all standing in a tuna can. So what's going to happen? Oh, and you're adding alcohol on top of that. What you need to realize is sometimes your power is, and your confidence is kept by just minding your own fucking business. I've been around many women in my life. I have family, I've dated, I've had friends of all sorts of women from all sorts of life, races, denominations, everything. One thing that I can tell you that never lasts in a woman's attraction to a man is the guy that's being loud, very aggressive and threatening to everyone, male and female. They have this bravado about them as if they're the only ones in the room. It doesn't mean that you can't be a showman. It doesn't mean that you can't know when to turn it on. But never knowing when to turn things off is a very intense energy. It's why you see performers and stuff like that struggle a lot. It's hard to turn certain things off. Well, I think for our law enforcement and our vets, that's where we see that. You have your switch that can't turn off. Very aggressive, this is how things are going to be done. I'm not saying it any other way than this. I struggle with that still. I don't like to answer questions. I don't like to have discussions about details, really. I need to know the details. I need you to tell me them, but we don't need to sit around and fine-tooth comb them. What's happening? What needs done? That's done. My brain doesn't work outside of that anymore. Why? Because everything gets so muffled in there. And guys, I think that's where a lot of our problems come in. We start assuming things, and we start making ideas in our minds of the way things are going, and we start feeling, and then we start getting angry, because that's the go-to emotion for most guys is anger. And when we get angry, we usually shut off. And then when we shut off, what? Now you're Mr. Dark and fucking Mysterious, which every woman has some kind of thing for, apparently. But in reality, if they look at it, it's not healthy. Because dark and mysterious means broken and damaged, usually. Dark and mysterious is very rarely just, I don't talk a lot, I'm just here, just being happy little old me. No. If you're sitting at the end of the bar, watching a game by yourself, not talking to people, you didn't walk in with a friend group, guess what? Your life's probably tough. You probably went through it. You're probably sitting there drinking some of this away. Not the healthiest thing to be doing. So anybody who walks up and is like, oh, honey, it's great. That feels good. But guys, that's not what you want. You don't want to be that guy. You don't want to be the broken guy. There's nothing good about being the broken guy. It's not fun to have your heart broken. It's not romantic. I regret so bad that I romanticized the drunkard stage of my life. Well, I'm sitting around drinking my woes away like Edgar Allan Poe and all my, oh, life is suffering, and oh, I'll die with a pen and a glass in my hand. It's like whiskey lullaby for me. It's like, God damn, man. You ain't got to be all that. And you don't have to be the guy that wants to kick everybody's ass or control the women in your life or whatever. You can totally chill. And you can set the parameters of your life where you go, hey, these are the levels of communication I expect for us to be healthy. If you can't operate within those, your life is going to get crazy as fuck with me trying to chase you around. That's me warning you that. Or you can go, hey, I don't give a fuck at all. You do you. And this thing's going to run itself into the ground. Or you can find that happy medium and be like, I know where we stand. I'm cool. Whether it's friends, parents, siblings, whatever. We're good. So if we're good, you do what you got to do. I'll always do what I got to do. And these are the type of things that give you your confidence in every situation. So no matter who you're showing up for, what room you're walking into, you have the same baseline. People know. If something needs handled, that person will handle it. You don't want to be the guy. Trust me. I know these people. Where something is going terribly wrong and someone has to go, fuck, I have to deal with that person too. Not, how can this person be of help, or how is this person going to improve the situation or gain stability in my life, but fuck, now I'm going to have to deal with this. That is what ruins relationships faster than anything in the world. When someone's life is crumbling around them and now they have to look beside them and go, oh, fuck. The only help I have in this world is crumbling beside me because of the exact same situation that we're both in. Fuck. That's a bad feeling. And when guys feel that one good time, life is really giving them hell. Somebody's dead. Something happened. Something bad happened. They look beside them, and the person they thought was going to be there for them doesn't. Mom, dad, relationship, gone. They go, fuck this, I got me. Lone wolf for life, dog. Fuck these people. I don't ever want to do that shit again. Why? Men, we have that weird thing in us where it's like, nope, nope, no. That feeling you get when you're like, fuck, man, fuck that, dude. And that's a real problem for a lot of us. And that's not just men. I have some of the best women in my life that are that way. They get that, oh shit, oh, they feel emotion come, and then suddenly that confident, stable position that they usually operate from when it comes to them processing life and the hurt and the sadness, it's not as easy. It's not as easy. So we talk about it. Let me know your guys' relationship with it. Confidence, when you fall out of your confidence, and how do you get back in? For me, it's easy for me to turn on a good song, a good rap song will usually put me right back in my place where I'm like, man, I know who the fuck I am. What am I doing? Playing these games with people and acting like there's not solves to these problems. Fuck all this. And you handle it. That's it. I love you guys. I'll see you in the next episode.